Hello, hello. Happy Friday. Thank Godot it's Friday. Am I right? How's everyone doing? Get myself a little more shoveled here. Hey, Nanigans. Hey, Nix. Yeah, audio channel point redeems aren't working, so I'll probably just refund all the ones that come in over today. I'll try to fix it tomorrow if it continues to be busted. All right, game dev. We're standing up today. I still haven't turned on the sit stand channel redeem, but I want to practice standing more again. I got to get back into it. So if I'm shifting around, it's A, because I'm a shifty individual, and B, it's because I'm standing. You're good, Nanigans. Tired, but good. Ain't that just the way? Nix, one day closer to the end of month time. Whatever the name is when you want to fix and publish your mod. Ooh. Yeah, I'm still standing. Shifting over my standing mat. Hoping everyone in the area of the storm is keeping warm and safe. Oh yeah, big storm. Big storm in the east. Everyone's good. Watch out for exploding trees, which we learned about yesterday. All right, so I fixed the bug. I say the bug. I fixed the combination of packing and unpacking issues that we were grappling with yesterday in an attempt to get our tile. We shove all the data from the simulation layer back to the rendering layer. We send it all ready to go in a packed byte array that theoretically is not being copied. And we send it over to Godot. And then it plugs that in for all the individual tile map layers. That's when it copies it out. It copies out all the different little slices of it. And fixed all that. It's very nice. It's very clean. The best part about it is we're using a worker thread pool. Just go wide. So we see immense performance increase. However, there's a hitch. As there often is, there is a hitch. And the hitch is quite a hitch. Which is that the different task groups are not finishing at the same time. And you can see it if I do stuff like this. Can I full screen this? That's not what I want. I don't know why I loaded this up here. Yeah, it works pretty good. It's pretty slick. Once I start doing something that I would consider like performance intensive, like manual control Z level, put the wall up, and then now we're going to like make a whole block, like an enormous filled block, and it is going to slow down. You see that? It's actually pretty responsive. It's not perfect. Around here, it starts to struggle. Which is fine, because this is just the edit time. This is an edit time issue, but what's really jarring to me is the fact that you'll notice that the overlay and the underlay are updating at different times. And that's an issue. So I'm not super pleased with the solution. It's way faster than when it was when we were just single threading it. But because the work is being finished at different times, I consider it unusable. There's actually something weird going on with corner pieces here, which makes me think there's some kind of separate data issue as well that I don't think we're going to get to because I don't think we're going to keep doing it this way. So, kind of unfortunate. You can tell, so the overlay finishes after the underlay because the overlay is being scheduled after the underlay and it's using the same resources. And because this is the end of the road, this is like the final step, It just happens when it happens. I don't think I can constrain this tightly enough to make sure that multiple processes like this finish at the same time. So we're gonna work on a different solution. Hey, Commander Apollo. Hi, Dave and friends. Hello. How are you doing? How are you doing, Commander? So I have two schools of thought on this. One is to do like essentially a double buffering system, which would involve having two sets of all the tile map layers. And so you update one set. You basically have A, B, and like A is live, and B is on standby. You update B, then B goes live, and A goes on standby. That way you could change the visibility. You could just be, shoving in the new thing as soon as it's done, but you could wait for it all to be done first. That's not a terrible option. I don't think it's exactly what I want to do, though. Oh, interesting. There we go. Raycast is a little weird sometimes. I don't think that's what I want to do. You're good? You're working on film stuff? Nice, nice. Shenanigans. Yeah, the updating at different times looks like more of a performance issue than it actually just taking a moment. I know, right? It's annoying. So I don't love the double of everything because each set of tile map layers is 192 tile map layers. It's 3 faces for 64 Z levels. So I don't love that. It could work. I'm tempted to try it. Fun thing about this. So we got this worker thread pool going. It's adding the group tasks, which means it's essentially executing these in parallel. And it's calling the function with an index between 0 and the count. So this is nice. So we're really going wide on this. Like each tile map layer is its own thing and is referencing this data. So that's epic. The other cool thing we do is we wait for the group to finish before releasing it back to the caller. What's cool is that the caller is in C#. The caller is in C# and is actually part of a task. So this task on this C# thread is calling out, distributing a bunch of work on Godot threads, waiting on those threads, and calling back. Or not calling back, but moving on. It's in signaling the task is the task only completes when Godot is done doing its thing. The C# task. And so that's neat. Problem is, there's no amount of orchestration where I could confine those separate processes from finishing at the same time. There's really no way for me to do that. Hey, Commander. Switch to YouTube. Twitch is lagging like crazy. Yeah, there's some stuff going wrong with Twitch, I think, today. Our event subs are not... We can't... For some reason, we're unable to connect to our event subs. So, like, if someone redeems something and there's supposed to be an audio queue, there isn't going to be today. So, I think there's something weird going on with Twitch systems, Twitch services. So, welcome to the YouTube side, Commander Apollo. Hey, Rhiannon Journey. How's it going? Happy Friday. So, anyway... So that's one possibility, is we could do this double buffering A-B thing, where one is on standby and one is live, and we could just turn on and off the display of the whole layer thing, just to make sure that all the changes occur, and then we change it. So I don't hate that as an option. It's kind of ridiculous. But it would kind of be awesome, and it would kind of let us wait long. We would be even more tolerant of, like, the amount of time it would take to do it. It would still need to be really fast. And it's unclear to me that we wouldn't have weird flickering as one tile map layer set gets disabled and the other set gets enabled. I believe there would probably be some flickering, so that's not my plan A. I'm thinking of plan A as possibly reducing the number of tile map layers we use. So here's our current block space, quote unquote. This is like an area in which we are rendering blocks. It has 64 tiers, which is the 64 Z levels. Each tier has 3 tile map layers. It has a layer for the X face, a layer for the Y face, and a layer for the Z face. Which leads to 192 tile map layers per block space. And here's the complicating part in my mind. We could reduce 192 tile map layers to 3. We obviously have more than 192 because we have like an opaque layer and we have like a semi-transparent layer and we actually have multiple semi-transparent layers. So the actual number of tile map layers in the scene right now is closer to like 600, right? 550, 600, somewhere in there. 192 times 3. I don't know. I don't do math. So, and that's what we have now. I'm imagining that in the future we'll have even more overlays. So here's what I'm thinking. What if, instead of a tile map layer for each Z index, for each Z layer, what if we just had one for all of the Z layers? So instead of having, you know, 100, or instead of having 64 tiers and then 3 tile map layers for each tier, what if we just had 3 tile map layers? Think about it. That actually works now with the decomposed block. It wouldn't have worked before when we had a compound block because the blocks like reached beyond their own self. But as long as we maintain a very strict rule set that says each block can only really render within its space, this could almost work. Here's why it won't. Hey, Magoo, Galaxy Brain idea. Here's why it's not a Galaxy Brain idea, Rhiannon Journey. What happens for like this? What happens when you have like a block that you can see through partially? Not great. And again, here's a random thought, not at all a suggestion of a route you should consider going down. You're not really using any of the actual tile map features other than it's snapping visuals to a grid. I'm using the local to map and map to local a lot. Are you going to suggest us rolling our own thing? So you could probably squeeze out quite a bit of performance by just drawing directly to a canvas. Yeah. I'm thinking about that, and we're going to jump back a second to my quote-unquote big brain idea here, which is the like, well, what if we just have one layer for each, you know, face? And then you have the problem of, which I said, like an object that doesn't fully block off its layer, and then so you need to know, like, how would you draw the block behind it when you just have one layer? You can't do that, obviously. So yeah, maybe we end up drawing something more directly. I'd be open to other suggestions about low-level ways to do this, too. Mapping from local to world space would just be a single method. Yeah. It's nice here. I am taking advantage. At the moment, we're taking advantage of the scene tree to help us organize stuff, which is nice. But that's easy enough to do with a Z index. So, like, I think I need to think about... I think we need to dig in a little more to some of the rendering, to some of the lower level stuff. To try to figure out how I want to do this. So your idea has to do with canvas item. This would be really good for mostly static stuff. Be a little expensive for non-static stuff. I have another idea about how to do this. Well, no, I don't. The other idea I had to do with actually changing tile data, which is like weirdly doable on a per tile basis, but not really what I want to do. Not really. What kind of stuff do we have to play with here? So we have our Z index, we have Y sort. Yeah, I'm not convinced I'll be able to do better than tile map layer. It's not even clear to me how we would handle the drawing for this. We have support for animations, which is neat. Quite sure how that works. Magoo, you hate file systems. File systems do seem weirdly challenging. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if canvas item is going to work for us. A textured rectangle region. With font texture. I don't really want to do sprite stuff. Wasn't a real suggestion. It would require redoing quite a lot. Yeah, it would require something. This is kind of something like the way I had an isometric voxel renderer thing that I was doing in Unity for a while. And it was really low level. Like, it was a scriptable render pipeline, and I was just like pushing the buffers around myself. I eventually bailed on that for a number of reasons. I'm going to try to avoid doing anything similar here. But that's kind of what I want, is I essentially want just a high performance, like, instance rendering solution. Tile map layer is good, though. And it kind of works for us because of our whole cutaway system. If I could guarantee that a block fully took up the space, like if we did it Minecraft style, then I could do my thing of only having a small number of tile map layers that we need to deal with. What's weird to me is how slow this seems to be when we're doing edits, but when I've done testing of the cutaway system, it doesn't seem slow. And that's kind of that's like making me wonder how seriously I want to take this problem. I want to make it workable, the editor obviously, but Arneo, you missed a stream. You did it, though. You got to 50. You got to the big 50. That's like, you're part of the 50 club. Essentially, you would just paint over top the canvas texture for any update you need. Yeah. It's not a terrible idea. I just don't know if it would be faster. I don't know enough about the underlying implementation to know where the slowdown is. Because we have a noticeable speed issue as soon as we get to like around, I don't know, let's maybe like try to count. It's like around 20, which is only a third of like the volume that can be used for something like this. But yeah, if we scale up and we start manipulating things on like a large level like this, so we start to see some slowdown here. It's if these were updating at the same time, we wouldn't really, the slowdown would be totally acceptable. But it's the desynchronization between the different layers that just makes this totally unacceptable to me. Along with some weird corner drawing stuff. I don't understand why the corner is showing up there every once in a while. It makes me a little concerned that there's something else going on. If I could guarantee that those separate processes executed at the same time, I think I'd be happy enough. So honestly, our first attempt might actually be the whole AB thing. The whole double buffer. So that all the work is finished and then we switch over the visual. I'm so concerned what that'll look like. Like, we'll essentially be flipping one off and flipping the other on one immediately after the other, so maybe it like wouldn't be that noticeable. I mean, I can't do it fast enough with a human click. It's not like the visibility, toggling the visibility of this many time map layers is not performance intensive. So honestly, our best solution might be that. Might be having like a set A and a set B. Because unused tile map layers take almost no memory. Because the tile map data is stored sparsely. It's great. With your updates you're sending to the threads, would debouncing or throttle the updates help? I'm going to be super honest. I don't know what debouncing means in this context. Limits how often a function executes, delaying its invocation until after a set period of inactivity. Ensuring it only run once after a burst of events stops. I don't think so. We're already waiting until the tile drawing system task is done before we run our systems. Well, we aren't doing it now. But I tried to do a version of this where we didn't run any other systems until the tile drawing system was finished. So it's not like we're dispatching multiple tile drawing system tasks that are running simultaneously. We only have one set of these tasks going live. I eventually rolled back the thing and we're just running these tasks separately, but I tried doing it that way where it was all like, let's all agree on when to do this. It didn't help because the problem is at the very bottom of the thing. The problem is that each different tile map layer group, so like the opaque, let's just talk about the opaque tiles and the semi-transparent tiles. The opaque tiles are a group task that's initiated, and the transparent tiles are a group task that's initiated. They're initiated in parallel, so we have no way of knowing which one's going to finish first, and that's what's causing our visual desync, right? So unless we hide the results of that operation until after it's already and synchronized, I don't see how to fix that. Apollo, you just realized you paused stream for like 10 minutes. Hopefully you didn't miss anything. Not really. We're just thinking about what we want to do to get our tile drawing to be consistent. All right, everyone's measuring their stream streaks on the Twitch chat. Arneo rise up against the tyranny of endless tile maps. Tile maps are good, so you don't think we should go from having 600 tile maps to like 1,800? Not 1,800, 1,200? I don't think there's a problem with having 1,200 tile map layers. And in fact, we'd probably have more. But I think 1,200 is a good start. I also don't mind having a delay for some of the visual updates if we can make it interesting. If we can make it stylized. Yeah, the problem is that this task setup. Yeah, I can't really affect the end result here. It's performant. It feels performant. It's just, you know, not being consistent. So let's think about that. Let's think about doing that. A and B. And there's other uses we could have for A and B too. Like, let's say you're playing the game and you switch to editor mode. Let's say that's possible. I don't think that's going to be possible. But let's say this is Cosmeteer and you're like playing the game and you switch to editor mode. It would be cool to have a double buffer tile map layer thing. So like we could load the editor view and then swap it in when it's ready. But it could also be cool if we could like have a stylized update frequency for the tiles, kind of like Dwarf Fortress style or whatever. Or like whenever you look at some of these tile-based games, there's usually some effect or there's something going on which makes the tile updating interesting. I feel like I'm thinking mostly about Dwarf Fortress. But the problem is it's my memory of how Dwarf Fortress ticks. It's tile updates. It'd be kind of cool to do it gradually or something. I think it would be too visually upsetting for the tile layer part, because the tile map layer part needs to be quick, because that's where we're doing like cutaway stuff. So if you mouse in and cut away into a room, you don't want like a gradual thing. You want to be like, boom, here's what you're seeing inside. But I don't know. Like if the blocks pop in like they're being built up somehow instead of drawing immediately. Yeah, that would be cool. I don't know how to do that, but that would be neat. It would be more expensive. But it could hide some of this stuff. I'm actually not worried about the performance during play mode. I'm mostly worried about the performance during edit mode, which is like a fine problem to have. Arneo, the top tile map layers have had it too good for too long. Bottom layers unite. Consolidate all layers to a single tile map layer. We talked about that earlier. That would be an option if we went with like a Minecraft style solid block thing where you had no curved blocks. But because I have an idea for like stylized blocks, like curvy blocks and stuff, that's not going to work because not every block fully obscures the block behind it. Although that we could do something with like Nanigans was saying of like just manually drawing to the canvas layer. I can't imagine that's better than bulk updating a tile map data struct. That has to be more performant than manually calling a bunch of individual. Although I don't know. We would need like we would need to do some sign distance field stuff. We would need to do some like actual like occlusion stuff. Which would not be that bad. I don't know. I don't really want to write my own rendering pipeline for this based on canvas item. Y'all got GPU? I got some. Not as much as Swiss Miss did. Nanigans, is it feasible to change how you're doing your threads so rather than different layers, it updates a pattern of cells? I.e. one thread does every n times 4 plus 1 tiles, another does n times 4 plus 2, etc. So then at least any slowdown would still paint the whole tile at once, but if it delays, it would almost be like a subtle dissolve effect. That would be neat. And I think that would be cool, but I think we'd still have the core problem, which is not... The update is fine within a given layer. Like, within a given layer, this update is fine. It's like... Can't make this bigger. Yeah, I can. This music is dramatic. I left it on calming cinematic, didn't I? I'm an idiot. I don't know how y'all tolerated that this whole time. But yeah, the problem that we're observing is that the different kinds of layers are interfering with each other. So right at the moment, it's the select layer, or not the select layer, it's the input layer, which is that overlay, is updating slower than the opaque layer, right? Because it's being started afterwards and they're running in parallel. So generally it finishes first. I tried flipping it the other way. The other way doesn't look better. The other way just has the overlay jumping for first. It doesn't prevent this like horrible like strobe light effect, which is the thing that I need to get rid of. I don't really care what happens as long as they happen at the same time, and I don't think I can guarantee that with any amount of fancy scheduling. I don't think there's any way to guarantee that that is going to happen simultaneously, which is why I'm thinking about double buffering this. Because the performance is fine. Like, you can, if you just pay attention to like the opaque layer, this is like totally acceptable, and I'm doing like an immense operation here. It might slow down even more if we go like crazy like this, but again, I'm okay with that as long as everything updates at the same time. You would never do an operation like this. This is like a really weird test. The most you might do is copy paste like a room or a section of the ship, or maybe click drag a section of the ship. Yeah. I ignore your comments, Nix. You could do gradual buildup in the background and then render everything at once. Yeah, that's what we're thinking about. We're thinking about double buffering it. So we build up one set of time map layers and then swap that in for the old one, so that when it's done, we swap in the new set. I had an idea about doing like doing like a what do you call it? Doing like some kind of occlusion culling and limit the number of layers we need to draw. But that would be a whole different thing, and it would not be doable with tile map layer, but we could do it with canvas item with a bunch of arbitrary draw calls. I don't know. I don't know if that's worth it. Like, we could essentially have a canvas item per Z layer or Z index or whatever and just draw into those. I don't quite know how I would do that. I guess it would be draw texture, sort of. I don't know what the difference between draw texture and texture rect is, but... The other thing is we wouldn't actually want to draw a texture. We'd want to do something simpler than that. But I assume it's smart, and it's not going to be... I assume we're not going to thrash the GPU memory by doing this. But it's possible that we did. We'd need to do all of this in, like, screen space, which would have the benefit of we'd only be drawing stuff that was actually visible on screen at a time. I don't know if that's better. It seems like that could be better. Draw texture rect region. Draw the texture directly from a texture's region. Sure. Yeah, so we could do something like this. I just don't know. I don't know enough about the engine to know what would be better. And again, your suggestion was not to have different layers on different threads. Just different tiles. So that way you could guarantee the order again. Yeah, but I get that. The problem is that we have multiple layers that represent a given quote-unquote tile. And I don't know how I would... But the fact that the problem is the underlay and the overlay are out of sync. I don't... Even if I said, you know, update this tile, it would still need to update 2 layers for that tile, and I couldn't guarantee the order in which they get updated. I don't know. It would probably be acceptable. I'm tempted to try. I'm pretty torn. The easy thing to try is the double buffer. I actually like when my rendering time is like relatively constant, because I'm only concerned about filling in the screen space. So I'm kind of tempted to try something crazy like that, but I mean, how many months would we spend on it? How many months would we spend on like a weird custom procedure for like drawing out our canvas items and canvas layers? Yeah, we could use canvas layer to do some draw order stuff. And that would be neat. That would probably make it easier to like mix together non-tile visuals with tile visuals in a way that doesn't require sprites to be like interleaved into the tile map layers. Because what I was planning to do for crew members and stuff was to like stick those sprites into the scene tree at the appropriate tile map layer, like at the appropriate block tier, essentially. And that would handle a lot of the like interaction between how the crew member should look moving through the space. But we could also resolve that problem with this canvas item drawing thing. I feel like people must not do this. Out of everything so far, you would go the double buffer route first. Less chance of unknowns. It seems like the easiest thing to try, so that's probably what we're going to try first. Nanigans, you feel I could do some really clever stuff almost completely in shader code that makes your head hurt trying to think out of all the different things you need to account for. Yeah, it seems, and that's the same thing that I ran into when I tried to do this in Unity. You can post links, Mr. Magoo. I don't know why you would post the link to your personal MySpace. Please link responsibly, is what I say. I feel like that used to be one of the rules. I might have changed the rules since then. You just made it. Okay. Kind of incredible that one can do that. All right. So what do we do? How would we do this? How would we want to do this? But yeah, I am a little tempted to do some fancy stuff. But what I'm not amused at is how that would complicate things like lighting and stuff. It actually might make lighting easier, honestly, if we take all the tiles and we like bake that in with the like characters as well. Because the neat thing is that we could draw characters on top of the environment and parts of the environment and underneath other parts of the environment. Like we could take advantage of draw order or Z index or whatever to do that. So that would be neat. It would be super neat, and then we wouldn't need short-lived sprites or whatever for our non-tile based rendering. It would be like a unified rendering solution, and it would be pretty cool. But I feel like it would be one more like, I'm not using Godot, the core part of Godot, because I don't know, I'm crazy. I feel like I would need to have a much more intimate understanding of the rendering server to understand what is and isn't performant for Godot to do. Like, it took me so long to like sort out the right way to do that in Unity when I was doing my own instanced rendering. I don't think Godot does anything like that. I mean, it probably does in a way that I could access it, but I'd have to like really dig in there, I'm sure. Most of the literature I can find about instanced rendering in Godot has to do with multi-mesh instance, which I don't need because it's 2D. Yeah, I think 2D render batching just kind of happens. Practice basic link hygiene, yeah. Yeah, let's do the double buffer thing. Arneo, apparently accumulating floating points in a while loop is like using all the stalls in an airport bathroom. Yeah. I mean, you can definitely, your floating point can get big enough where you lose the accuracy that you need to do the thing that you want to do. That can definitely happen. I'm not big on floating point math, but I know that much. I know big floating point numbers make it hard to represent something small. That said, I feel like Godot uses like double precision for everything, doesn't it? No, maybe that's not true. Don't quote me on anything. Don't ever quote me on anything because I don't know what I'm talking about. All right, if I was to do a double buffer, how would I do that? I could just have like the A blocks and the B blocks. Let's do a little bit of A/B testing. That's dumb. Dumb. Or you could actually do it in 3D with an orthographic camera, then updating a range like that is literally just drawing a cube. Very true. Very true. Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me. I did tests about that when I first started working on this game. I did tests of if I would get an acceptable, if I could get the visual I wanted from like taking 3D objects and then like downsampling them with like nearest neighbor or whatever, just to like stay crisp. And I did not like it. I did not like it. I liked the crispness of pixel art 2D. I feel like that's an important part of an FTL-like for me. But yeah, it certainly would make everything easier, wouldn't it? Except maybe, you know, art production. But yeah, we could almost certainly do some really clever stuff if we wanted to get down, into the rendering system. I just don't know enough about the Godot servers, like the rendering server. I am a little tempted by the just make my own canvas items. Or manage my own canvas items. I'm not gonna lie. Kinda tempted. I'm a little concerned about how I would do that, but I'm kind of tempted to try. No, all we've got are ridiculous ideas. Don't worry about that. If I could avoid redraw calls, drawing directly a canvas item would be like really good. You render directly to the GPU, and it has automatic built-in batching. There is a CPU bottleneck possibility, though. What the fuck is multi-mesh instance 2D? Clip contents could cause a lot of problems. Okay. Reading a little bit about this. Multi-mesh instance 2D. What is this? I don't think I want this. If you went down the route of doing canvas items, I'd probably suggest doing one canvas item for each floor on the ship, and you can just mask the layers to see through for cutaway, etc. Yeah, it would be that's one concern I have with this is actually the cutaway system would involve so much redrawing, and not just redrawing, but like, you know, modifying the drawing contents. Yeah, we're gonna try the double buffer. That I actually have an idea of how I would even get started. So let's say editor blocks A, editor inputs A, editor select A, and then we'll just make another copy of all these for B, etc. Let's give it a try, huh? Why not? That has a known impact to memory and an unknown impact to anything. I think that's the most reliable thing that we can try, that I have some idea of doing. I feel I have enough experience now to ignore the part of my brain that's like, go make a custom renderer. Because you want to do something unique. But you know, you gotta pick your battles. And when you're a solo developer, every decision is a battle. I could probably do something really cool that way. But how long would it take? Would it take 3 months? 6 months? I've already made that choice. I've already picked a few battles. I don't know if I can afford to fight that one. You know what I'm saying? Or all right, more ideas. Let's never foreclose. We're never totally closing our door on a boondoggle. It's one of those things you could always say is good enough for the editor and then come back if it seems necessary. That's another thing I'm thinking about is I really want to see what the performance of this is under the cutaway system. Because I think it's going to be not bad by comparison. I could be wrong because what the cutaway system is doing is pretty close to what I'm doing when I do like a giant edit operation. Assuming that the bottleneck is where I think it is. Yeah, I think for what we're doing, I think being able to pre-pack a byte array and send it whole cloth over to Godot to have it unpack. I don't think there's anything we could do easily that would get close to that level of performance. Now, emphasis on that we could do easily, right? There's certainly some things that we could do if I was a more talented and experienced programmer in Godot. If I actually knew how the rendering server worked, right? Like, probably some crazy stuff we could do. All right, so we have all these nodes. What we need is like a node indexing system, which we do not have, but that's fine. I also don't love my system for this right now, but I can't even be bothered right now. We'll have some kind of registration system when we actually go to do this. But right now, what we're going to just do is keep it simple. I'm keeping it simple because I'm stupid. And the nice thing about this is this doesn't have as many surprises down the line, I think. If we start doing stuff like doing our own canvas item drawing, there's a lot of questions I have down the line about lighting and whatever. I don't want to answer those questions right now. And no one can make me do it. So we're going to do this. We're going to do some A/B testing. Do I actually care about any of this? I don't think I do. Get rid of that. This is one of those things where it's like, if I was an engine programmer, I would be like all in on this problem. How do we get these tiles rendering quickly and consistently? But I'm trying not to do that. Trying not to be an engine programmer. Level and enter block layers. We need to store multiple sets of block layers, huh? Do we use this for anything? We do this for mapping global. I see. Actually, this should be fine. I don't normally like the export variable way of linking stuff up like this, but, you know, it's nice. It's easy. Let's do things the easy way today. Hope everyone's having a nice Friday. We're almost at the weekend. I'm ready. I'm ready for a weekend. I'm gonna try to chill. Part of me wants to build the other computer I have all the parts for sitting in my kitchen. Man, we've already been live for an hour. It's crazy. It's crazy. Crazy. All right, so we're trying a double buffer. So we're gonna try to fill up the tile map layers for one set while the other set is live. This is my go-to. Anytime there's any kind of thread safety issue, I'm like, you know how you fix a thread safety issue? You use a double buffer. This isn't technically a thread safety issue. It's more of like a thread consistency issue, where like one of the threads is finishing before the other threads. Actually, it could be partly because, you know, I actually don't know if I could fix it. I was thinking if I reserved certain threads for each thing. But that's not really how we're utilizing the Godot multi-threading. We're telling Godot to just use all the threads that you can to do the thing as fast as possible. So there's going to be contention. And so one of those tasks is finishing before the other, and it's causing visual inconsistency. So you know what we do? We're going to add some visual consistency by writing to an invisible copy of everything and then just flipping them. And as long as there isn't a flicker problem, the moment one gets flicked on and the other off, then it's fine. You know what I should do? Here's what I should do. No, that doesn't really help. I was thinking about ways that we could mitigate the flickering, but I'm not gonna bother with that unless we actually notice some flickering. Anigans, you're doing pretty good. You're not looking forward to going out and shoveling. Oh, after the storm. Yeah, sorry. That's not a world I live in. I can't imagine, you know. I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember the last time I saw snow. If I had to, I mean, and I don't mean like looking at a mountain like hundreds of miles away. Or even less. Like, I've driven by mountains that have snow on them, but the last time I actually got out and actually looked at snow, geez, I don't want to think about it. It's probably 15 to 50, at least 15 years ago, probably more like 20. Crazy. I'm a delicate California flower here. Nix, this week you lost around 3 kilograms. It's about 6.5 pounds. You'll see if that's consistent tomorrow or just random noise in the get weight function, the scale. Yeah, I hope. That sounds great. That's a lot of weight to drop all at once. Hopefully you're doing all right. You're gonna head out? All right, take it easy, Commander. Nanigans, you're not getting hit by that much snow, but it's negative 25 degrees centigrade, which is negative 13 degrees Fahrenheit. Gonna drop further still. I do remember the first time I was in like negative Fahrenheit temperatures. That is an experience I remember. It was well below freezing. I made the mistake of walking outside with a cup of coffee, with a hot cup of coffee. It was cold in like seconds. I was like, well, rip this cup. All right, so we got our 2 buffer node objects. It would help if I did this consistently. What did I miss? I missed the editor input A, B. 6, 7, 8. Blocks A, blocks B, inputs A, inputs B, select A, select B. This is so much nonsense just to fake like a 3D environment with isometric 2D art. But you know what? It's going to look cool. And that's what we're trying to achieve. Also, I got accepted as a YouTube partner last night. Shout out to everyone watching over on the YouTube side. I haven't done anything with it yet, but we're going to do something. We're going to do some stuff. I also added a new emote that nobody has noticed yet. Not to YouTube, but to Twitch and the Discord. Yeah, it's Nick's found it. Thanks, Nanigans. Yeah, it's cool. It's not the big one, so don't worry. We don't got ads coming anytime soon. At least none that I get paid for, but it's the first step on being a YouTuber, which is how one of my favorite YouTubers says it. I think they're Australian. I'm not denigrating anybody. It's just I like that pronunciation of the word. I enjoy that. All right, so how are we gonna actually do anything with this? So what we're gonna need, so yeah, you're all confused because you don't know what you're supposed to be doing. We need a toggle here that lets us know. I kind of just want like a simple read-only, like, I call it like buffer toggle or something. Double buffer toggle. You noticed it when you spam ship it? Hey Sapphire. Healing in and peeking out. Saving the streak, but you can't stay. I feel like that's the reverse of how I expected those words to be arranged, but that's funny. Nanigans, you think you're gonna have to play with depth map and shaders a bit to pull off the effects you're going for as well? Yeah. Yeah, I'm really leaning on the scene tree and the Y sorting and the Z indexing in the scene tree to handle a lot of what I'm trying to do. But I realize there's gonna be a certain point where to achieve the effects I want to achieve in like a holistic way, there's going to be some kind of post-processing shader stuff going on. Now there's very little you can't solve with the depth map, you know what I'm saying? And if one isn't enough, just get another. You could always have another depth map in the same way that you could always have another couple hundred tile map layers. All right. Okay. So now we've got a simple toggle. It's just going to be called the double buffer toggle. It'll just be true or false. And if it's true, I guess we use the B toggle or the B buffer. And if it's false, we'll use the A buffer. That seems like enough for me. So where do we control that part? So here's kind of what we need to do. So here we can just say, so we'll just say like double buffer toggle. Maybe we'll just say A for on and B for off. I don't know, whatever. Game.child.editorBlocksB. This is easy. You know, do things easy. Do things the easy way until you can't anymore. Advance until resistance is met. It's the game development equivalent of that. kind of want to do something else here. I kind of want to like spread out the variables here. I don't optimize for lines of code. I don't find that a meaningful metric of anything. All right, take it easy, Sapphire. You had to lurk for a bit. What is the easy thing we're doing? Swapping out between A and B? Yeah, double buffering. Double buffering our tile map layers so that, because we're seeing inconsistency of when the different layers, and not layers, we're seeing inconsistency of when the different like tasks are finishing, which is causing a weird effect. We're gonna wait until everyone has done what they needed to do, and then we will flip the buffer when that is the case. Shenanigans. With your pixel rendered characters, they are each being drawn to their own quad mesh, and then that mesh is angled to billboard to the camera. Oh yeah, I forgot how crazy your... All of your characters are essentially like sub-viewport containers, right? Since it does that, the characters can clip into walls if they get close enough, yeah. Basically need to change their depth texture to be whatever value it is when their actual feet are. Yeah, yeah. I think your game is going to be very stylized, and I'm excited to see that. But it also sounds hard. Makes sense to try that before building your own render pipeline. Thanks. It's like, it kind of goes without saying. You're like, what would be easier, writing my own render pipeline or just doubling the one that I already have? We'll see. We'll see if it works out. I'm excited. I think this will be fine. I think it will solve our problem. I think we'll get a whole bunch of performance. I think it'll be good. I think it'll be pretty good. It's kind of like we're using, you know, Godot for what it's for here. We're using it. We're going wide with it with the rendering by just getting it onto as many threads as possible. Because from here, each of these is an individual task on the C# side. So like these opaque tiles is one C# task. These transparent tiles are one task. If we're in edit mode, we have another set of transparent tiles that we render. Wait, that doesn't make sense. Why is this only done in edit mode? That's not right. Oh yeah, that's wrong. Okay. Because yeah, we can make a selection during play mode. I don't know why I thought that. So yeah, each of these are like co-equal like kinds of layers. But then when we get down to the Godot side, Godot is just going wide. And we're creating group task in the worker thread pool. So like each of those individual C# threads is then going to Godot and saying, here's a task for you to do. Put it on as many threads as possible, to the point of blocking the main thread is what I understand this might do, which might be a problem. And actually, that might be something we can work around. We might actually have a lot more tolerance with the double buffering system. I don't know. If we can do some... I don't know if we can do some interesting stuff with that, but it would be cool to have kind of a stylized update. It would probably not be done there. It would probably be done at like the cutaway phase if we wanted to like do some kind of diffuse thing or something weird. Auto mod is... Oh yeah, thank you for holding that. Deny. Thanks, Automod. Thanks for the hydrate, Nix. I want to finish my coffee here, but then I'll hydrate. It's almost done. Okay, coffee achieved. Wow, that was gritty. Water time. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry for the water drinking sounds. That must have been horrible for everyone. Coffee is hydrating. I've heard it's kind of a mixed, or it's kind of a toss up as to whether whether it's net positive in terms of like the diuretic effects of coffee versus like the fact that it is mostly water. I've heard some people say it's barely a net positive. I've heard other people say it's like a pretty much just a wash. I don't know. I don't know. It's not my job. Damn it, Jim. I'm an engineer, not a doctor. All right, okay, so we've got our things. Why do I never invoke this? Bytes per tile and bytes per layer. Is it because I just multiply by the unsafe size of? And I keep track of the indexes with the 6 here. I want to get rid of this magic number. I'm going to go to tile. I'm going to go to tile, and I want to make like a static. Public, static, integer, field count? I don't know. Equals 6. You can just make it a const, right? You've heard it's not positive. Fits in your not drinking water agenda. Well, at least you acknowledge you have an agenda. And again, you basically live on soup. Water's kind of sus, Rhiannon. Why are you trying to be transparent? Like you don't want to be seen? That's funny. Maybe water just doesn't want to be perceived. Everyone can relate to that, right? Not wanting to be perceived. I don't love the like vocal stuff here. We're gonna make that this song go away for a while. Assuming Pretzel responds to me. There we go. Hard relate. Yeah. Alright. No magic numbers. Here, no. +2. I mean, there's +2, but and +1 here, but that's fine. All right, so we got our double buffer thing. What we need now is one, we need to toggle that back. We could just probably do that at the end here. You can say double buffer toggle equals not Double buffer togger. Double buffle. Oh my god. Double buffle togger. Can I make this read only or something? What is wrong with me? I maybe don't want it to be in control of toggling that, but that's the easy thing to do, so we're gonna do it like that. Actually, I want to add another safety mechanism here. I want to say if task handle that is completed. I'm going to say if not task handle that is completed. Return. Double buffer. Sounds like a Star Wars character. Yeah, that's fine. Star Wars, I feel like George just made shit up with that. With just anytime he'd need a new Star Wars character, he'd be like, Dib Sklebo. Derm Scarter. like those aren't even words, George. He was like, it's a galaxy far, far away, man. Oh, the worst name is what they call their version of jazz? Yes. I am aware of the Star Wars name for the Mos Eisley Cantina music. And I also will not mention it. Out of a combination of embarrassment and responsitriloquence. All right, so now what we want to do when we are ready to do this, when we are ready to do the drawing, we're gonna do this. When we're ready to do the drawing, this is where we need to flip. So we need to say like, so I'm gonna say like game, and there's gonna be like a, it's gonna be like a function. Maybe this needs to be like a member variable. Maybe this needs to be a little more public than what I've got here. I'm not going to try to say double buffer toggle again. I'm not going to embarrass myself. But yeah, maybe I want this to be accessible. I'm not convinced I want to do this here either. I might do that up here. Yeah, because I want to do it. I don't want to do it there. I want to do it up here. So we'll say if game. So if we're done with the task, what we're gonna want to do is we will want to we'll say game.tile drawing system. Actually, maybe whenever we call the run command, we can toggle it. Well, who cares? Really doesn't matter. This is not a performance intensive activity we're doing here. Oh, it has a private set. I need to undo that. But we want to do that after. First, we want to do something like... say something like... toggle. Did you look up the Star Wars Jazz title, Nix? Or did you already know that one? Toggle, double, buffer, bool, toggle. Let's just say value, I guess. Why not? Actually, let's not do this part here either. Let's say, so we're going to say if peak state is not equal to state.exit. I want to be super careful about doing anything with the nodes when we're under an exit command. I need to enforce that more closely because I'm not, at the moment, it's not being enforced correctly. Oh, so we also need to know. Actually, we don't need to know. What we can do is we can say, here we can just say return. Don't do anything. We can say if value actually we can just say value. I don't need to like do anything else, right? Nodes. Actually, it's multiple calls we're doing here. There's probably a different, probably something else I should do. I should probably have like a, I should probably say board dot toggle double buffer, or it should be like board dot call I can't call the board. Oh, is the board not a thing? I would need to say nodes. What's the board? Board is like child.gameboard, right? And we'll say like toggle tile map layer visibility. And we'll pass in the value. That's easy. Here we want to say not equal. Arneo's coming out with a soup tier list. S tier, spinach soup. D tier, every other soup. X tier, borscht. Hot take, Arneo. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a big soup person. But I have been calmed by like a miso soup. Chicken noodle, obviously. It's good. Especially, you know, like my mom's chicken noodle soup. Mom tier soup. What's wrong with borscht? Don't ask me, ask Arneo. Don't ask me what's wrong with borscht. I don't know. All right, so we're just going to call down to the board and have the board handle the specifics of toggling the tile map layer visibility. Because I cannot be bothered. I might call it toggle, though. All right, And so the board is going to say, we're going to have a function. It'll be after the unpack function, which we don't even use. Wait, where are we? Board, this, there we go. It's like, that wasn't it. All right, we'll say func toggle tile map layer visibility toggle bool void. Your tier list reveals you're not much of a soup person either. You're not sure where your traumas about borscht came from. You can't beat school lunches. You don't think you ever had it there. That would be a crazy school lunch. No judgment. Nix, your tier lists. Okay, soup tier list from Nix. Bean soup, S tier. Potato soup. Potato soup is good. Lentil soup, also good. Potato and lentil soup are good. I would consider them like A tier. The rest can go into C tier. Except soups with chicken or other flying. Here's Z tier. Not a fan. Not a fan of the meatier soups. That's fair. That's fair. To each their own. To each their own soup. So what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna say. We'll say editor blocks. Oh, I don't know how to do this correctly. What do I call these then? Editor blocks A. Why are you not recognizing me? Dot visibility dot visible equals true if toggle else false. Editor blocks B dot visible equals false if toggle else true. Editor inputs A dot visible visible I can't spell today. True if toggle else false. Editor inputs B dot visible equals false if toggle else true. So we're just toggling. My logic is that we should toggle. Well, I'm not really actually doing it here, but what I would like to do is toggle stuff on. You know, that's actually what I would rather do. This is nice and simple. Well, let's see if this is a problem. I'm a little worried about a flickering effect if I toggle off the thing before I toggle on the thing. But you know what? I would like to actually don't defend yourself from an attack that hasn't happened, you know? I mean, sometimes, you know, it's a good idea, but I'm going to wait to see if this is actually a thing first before I put any effort in defending against it. But I think it is. I think it will be a problem. Nanigans, best soup is a good homemade chili. Not soup, but close enough. Chili needs to be thick and hearty with melted cheese garnish on top. Yeah, chili is more of a stew, which is different than a soup or broth, which people already don't agree, you know. Shout out to the Fry and Laurie soup versus broth sketch. It's just fun to say broth. 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 That's probably a very loud B sound, sorry. All right. So we're doing this. We're gonna flip on, we're double buffering. We're going to flip on the tile map layer. We're going to flip off one tile map layer and flip on another, which is going to create a double buffering effect with updating the visuals, which will hopefully synchronize all of the visual updates. There might be an effect. There might be a negative effect to doing this. We're going to see. Toggle tile map layer visibility. That's the name of the function, yeah? Toggle tile map layer visibility. Man, communicating across the C# Godot bound is annoying. Honestly, we could do it in here. We are keeping track of these, which maybe we shouldn't be. No, I guess we need to. We need to for send tile map data. We could do it differently, but let's do it. Let's do it. Let's keep it simple, as always, when possible. All right, so just to make sure that I haven't lost my mind, we need to go here. Yeah, so we aren't doing that. So we need to say game.toggle double buffer. The bool is going to be tile drawing system dot game.tile drawing system dot double buffer toggle. Actually, do we need to be passing that through here? Not really. There's no real reason to be passing that through. You just say tile drawing system dot double buffer toggle. And we don't need to do that here. And then after that, we can say game.tile drawing system. Well, should we do that? Should we just do that in here then, if we're going to do that? I don't really know where. Yeah, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do it like this. I don't necessarily want the tile drawing system to do its own toggling, but we might get there. Nix, you like how easy it is to make soups? Yeah, you can just throw a bunch of stuff in there, boil it for a while. Yeah, it is nice. It is nice. Rhiannon, your favorite soup is gumbo. Some might consider it a stew. Yeah, I feel it sounds like a stew when you hear it said. Random Journey, would you be sending stuff over the boundaries if everything was C# and no GD script? Not meaningfully. Like this, we'd be doing this. The only difference is I'm doing this and then telling it to do additional things. But like, you pay for it anytime you do a Godot API call, and we can do Godot API calls here. So I just try to minimize the number of Godot API calls from the C# side. We can also invert this. I might do this a different way. Let's see. Let's see what this did. There's got to be. It seems to be working. There's a little flicker. There's a little flicker. There's a lot of flicker. There's a lot of flickering. Let's see if we always have the new one engage before the old one disengages. So this was neat, but this is probably not the right way to write it. The right way to write it is probably like if toggle, and we say editor blocks a equals dot visible equals true, editor blocks b dot visible. Is there a way to do this deferred? You can change, you can set a property to change deferred, right? I don't remember how. If so, I might do it from here. I think it's in the C# part. Nix, I have no way of pronouncing these Hungarian words you're telling me, but they sound tasty. Rhiannon, can you time how long the rendering is taking and only double buffer if it's taking a certain amount of time? That the time taken is not the problem. The problem is that like the opaque layer, any set of layers. So right now we have 2 transparent sets and 1 opaque set. They're dispatched to the Godot thread pool worker group, whatever. So they're all dispatched to the same high priority threads. Even if they were dispatched to different threads, there'd be no way to guarantee when they finish. So that's the problem we're seeing is without managing the double buffering, the overlay might jump ahead of the opaque, or the opaque might jump ahead of the overlay. And it's creating this kind of strobe effect at the boundaries because they're supposed to converge. So what we're doing with the double buffering is we're just waiting for all of that to finish, then swapping it in. So if I can just do a deferred call to set a property, which I'm pretty sure I can do. Eastern Europe knows their stews and soups. That is true. I think everyone can agree with that. I think anywhere that has like a cold season has a pretty good idea about what to do regarding soups and stews. But yeah, I think especially Eastern Europe is well regarded. All right. So if I want to set properties, not exported properties, but just properties. I just want to defer the call. I guess I could look up in the GDScript part. I don't care about exported properties. It's not really what I'm thinking about. What I'm thinking about I mean, I guess a defer might not actually help us unless it guarantees that both changes occur before the rendering happens again. I don't know why I'm expecting to find a solution here. I thought I would. Get object, get method. I don't really want to do that. I mean, I guess I could have a deferred call to update that thing. That might help. Let's try that. First, let's do the thing I suggested by having the new one engage before the old one disengages. And then if that still doesn't seem to fix it, we'll do a... let's just set all of them. Well, let's maybe not. Let's do it one by one. I'm looking for some defer stuff. Which is probably not the way to figure this out. I'm curious. Also, where'd my music go? Music. There we go. Thank you. Yeah, I think I would rather do a call deferred. Oop, not C. There's no C. That sounds good. A tea. Cup of tea. I might go to my little coffee shop around the corner, get a cup of tea and a snack. I'm feeling like something. I'm feeling dehydrated is what I'm feeling. All right, let's see if this fixes the flickering problem by just always turning one on before the other goes off. I don't know if that's going to help, especially when it comes to the transparent, the semi-transparent layers, but let's see. No, there's still flickering. A lot of flickering. Let's try to place something and see what it looks like. Yeah, that's really bad. Well, this is even worse. Oh, wait, what just happened? Crash. We crashed from something. Are you going to tell me what crashed? No. That was weird. What the heck happened there? I don't know what that was. Okay, there seems to be a lot of issues with the overlays specifically. It seems like pretty manageable. Nope, never mind. Interesting. All right, what if we call defer it? All deferred. Let's call deferred thread group. But let's try to call it deferred. Let's see about that. That might guarantee that the updates occur at the same time before the next render pass. Flicker City, I know. It's not good. That seems to help somewhat. Not really. It also looks very different on the stream than what I'm seeing. The flickering for me is happening so rapidly that it looks like some like Dragon Ball Z fighting, but on the stream it looks also alarming but much slower, which is interesting. Yeah, this is really bad. Okay, now it's happening very frequently. Okay. There's a way to deal with this, and I don't quite know how to get there. But there's got to be a way. Looks like Z fighting. It's not LS dev. It does look like Z fighting though. So what we're doing, LS. Yeah, what we're doing is we're trying to do a double buffer thing where we're updating like one set of tilemap layers and then swapping them in for the other one. Let's make sure that we're actually doing that part correctly, that I'm not accidentally like editing the live one. So if double buffer toggle is true, we use the A blocks. If it's not true, we use the B blocks. But how's it going, LS? Happy Friday. It's good to see you. Yeah, so our double buffering is to prevent this other thing we were saying, which was a desynchronization between when like the opaque geometry would update versus when the transparent geometry would update. So like the opaque would finish first and then the transparent would catch up because they were running as, you know, parallel processes. And there was no way to really guarantee which one finished first. So that's why we're trying to do this double buffer to give them time to finish, and then we swap them in. What will this double buffer solve? Hopefully that. I thought you might be curious. If you thought I read your message and then responded to you in a timely manner, that's not what happened. Why not just render it until it loads in completely? That's what we're doing. But at some point, we need to toggle one layer on and toggle the other layer off. Do I want to add in a warning for people with epilepsy? What, to the stream? I'm hoping this is not, you know, a long-term problem. LS, you're having a good time. You celebrated Christmas super late. People got sick in sequence. Oh, I hate that. But that sounds nice. You probably got to have all the fun and none of the trouble. You went to the YouTube backlog. Oh well, you know, we'll just be careful about trying not to make it full screen. I don't want to have to think about that. That's a good point. There are a lot of people on YouTube. Hi, YouTube. I don't know what brought you here, but, you know, I appreciate you being here. So this is what I'm deferring the call to, is just changing all of these. So what if instead we did them all at once? I don't think this is going to help anything, but we're going to try doing it this way. I need to figure out a way of making sure that this occurs in between, like, rendering frames, which maybe means I do need to put this on a thread somewhere. Somehow. Well, I don't really want to do that, I guess. I need to try to guarantee the order of operations here. somehow, which I think is tough to do because of when the C# physics process happens. This might be tough. This might be tough to do. But I want to see if we can do it, you know? There should be a way to handle this. Just not quite sure what that is yet. I need to be more intimately familiar with the update sequence of Godot. We could also maybe constrain the number of... I think Nanigan suggested this earlier, but like debouncing, like constraining the number of times that this process happens. Because right now it's happening all the time. So there's probably a way of minimizing... Okay, that's better, but not good. It's hard to see on the stream, but it is still flickering, though it is better. Now we're crashing. Why are we crashing occasionally with no debugger information? Are we hitting some kind of like Stack Overflow or... Well, we've introduced a crash, which is not great. And not only a crash, but like a silent crash, which I'm not excited about. It would be cool if it would tell me why we're crashing. Wonder if there's a way I can... Okay. This reference not available in the current evaluation context. Managed to native transition. Exception. Exception of type system execution engine exception was thrown. There's some kind of crazy thing happening. Oh, hulls. Interesting. That's going to be hard to debug. Ugh. Okay, what can we do about this? Fatal error. Native interop. Godot sharp variant destroy. Godot variant by ref. Yeah, there's some kind of disposing. Something is being disposed of that we need. I wrote a DM about the warning, just a heads up if you want to do that or not. I maybe will pin a comment to the YouTube, to this VOD. That's probably all I'll do. But that's a good idea, Nix. That should be sufficient. Well, it's good motivation to get this fixed today. To not have to do that. So is there a process sequence issue? Like, is there something about the order we're doing this in that is causing this? Because I feel like this should be doable. This should be doable, especially with a call deferred. Although the fact that the call deferred is causing some kind of crazy engine problem. You know, I probably shouldn't call deferred. No, that's not in a task, though. It's actually before a task. And it's actually blocking the running of the task. So I don't know what that could be doing. Maybe it's too deferred. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I think we need to look closer at the process, like update order. How do we... I've seen so many things for this. Where is a good... There's a good hook into this manual. Scripting, GD script. There's like a scene tree update order thing, and I can't find. I'm just gonna Google it. I want to see the whole thing. Is it in here? It's probably in this using scene tree thing. All right. The way Godot works internally is as follows. There is the OS class, which is the only instance that runs at the beginning. Blah, 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 blah. When initialization is complete, OS needs to be supplied a main loop. Scene tree. Viewport. Root viewport. Tree order. So all of this, the whole C# side runs on the physics process step of the root node. That's when it runs. That could be part of the problem. I feel like there's more about this part. You're gonna head out, tackle the shoveling. Good luck. Look with the strobe lights. Thanks. Appreciate it. Where do we think there would be stuff about how idle in physics processing? The fact that this is tied to physics processing is maybe a problem. That could be part of what we're seeing. I don't really see how, though. See how that could be a problem. Does process happen before or after Godot is drawing the current frame? 1. Process stuff. 2. Draw stuff. Yeah, but does physics process happen? Hold once on each physics tick. It's only caused if physics is enabled. Processing happens in order of process physics priority. Corresponds to the notification process physics from the object.notification. All right, we're in ads. We're going to hold up here for ads for a bit. I think there might be a forced resync happening from the rendering server. I think it's seeing a change to visibility. I bet there's something that's listening to visibility changed. I bet somebody is listening to this. Is this from the canvas layer or the canvas item? Viewport and canvas transforms. Custom drawing in 2D. Okay. I don't want to do a custom rendering, but you know what? We're getting there. We're getting there. Where was a signal? Is this not on this? Is it on a canvas layer? I'm kind of tempted to do some canvas item custom drawing. I'm not totally gonna lie. Because we could also restrict a queue redraw, except in cases where it actually changed. We could do some stuff with this. I just don't. I'm like so hesitant. I'm so hesitant. I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned, but I'm tempted to try. I'm going to read about that stuff later. So here's, okay, that's the position, the transform order. There isn't anything about execution order. Rendering. Okay, there's nothing here. I'm concerned about the custom rendering thing. It would essentially make it impossible for me to do lighting that wasn't like post-processed. Which honestly is probably the way we're going to do lighting anyway. Alright, what happened to the visibility changed thing? The visibility. Let's just look at visible. That's not it. Something is listening. Something is listening when the visibility is being changed, and I want to know what it is. You know, we're gonna try one other thing, maybe. What we could do is we could try putting them in, like, a parent object, and then set the visibility of that. That might help. I say it's worth a try. That's another thing that would be really easy. Just gonna call it buffer A. Say double buffer A. Then we'll have a double buffer B. And we'll put all of these in. Put all of the A's in here. Put all of the B's in here. And then instead of changing this, we'll add some exports for this. Hope everyone's having a great day. I'm getting a little, I know I'm getting a little, like, in it. And I'm not paying the most attention. So I appreciate everyone being here. I hope everyone is excited for the weekend. Although I was in the service industry long enough to know to not just wish everyone a happy weekend. Not everyone has the weekend off, you know. And if you happen to be one of those people that works weekends, be consoled with the fact that at least you can do your grocery shopping and your laundry on like a Wednesday afternoon. We're going to see if we can reduce this to just a single thing. I'm not convinced this is going to work. But you know, we're going to try it. I don't think this is going to work, and I think I understand why. Well, I don't know if I understand why, but I think I have an idea of something. All right. We'll keep this small, so hopefully... Oh. I didn't actually put any of these in here. Let's fix that by actually assigning these to something. Okay, again, not really fixing anything. We're still experiencing some kind of crazy engine failure. In such a way that it can't tell me what's happening, which is also not good. I've crashed the engine, which is really hard to do. Really hard to do. But yeah, some kind of native interop call is absolutely obliterating everything. Microsoft is not going to be able to help with this. Okay. I wonder what could be causing that. The fact that I'm not making any progress on the toggle is not a good sign. We might end up having to just draw all of our objects to the because yeah, this should kind of just happen either before or after the draw call. All right, my idea was that toggling visibility. So maybe the defer needs to be in here or something. Maybe it can't actually be there. But yeah, I'm convinced that the rendering server is like how to avoid a forced sync when updating, when toggling a canvas items visibility. Godot. Google, help me out here. No, I don't care about multiplayer synchronization. A rendering server. Use self-modulate.a to 0 instead of setting visibility. Prevents the renderer from treating the toggle as a structural change. Okay. Self-modulate.a. Let's see. Let's see. I don't know if that's going to fix, you know, our crazy... Okay, so it wouldn't be true and false. It would be 0 or 1. Not self-module, self-modulate. Top B. Okay. Okay, way less flickering. Well, I said way. I'm not seeing way. It's definitely way more stable. But I crashed. We caused a crazy engine crash again. Yeah, there's something about the double buffering I'm doing. It is introducing some kind of stability from the multi-threading. And I don't know what it is quite. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow, to avoid causing any more epileptic seizures, maybe we'll architect a new rendering process that involves manually drawing two canvas items that represent given z-index levels. That's not a bad idea, honestly. It would let us do some neat stuff. It would also prevent us from needing to manipulate the scene tree heavily, because right now the tile map layers are stable in the scene tree. But as soon as we have like crew members running around, those would be nodes, or node 2Ds. And they would need to be like interleaved with the tile map layers to like render correctly. They don't necessarily, I could have them in another folder and just be very careful about the z-indexing. But from a Y sorting standpoint, it would be better to do it that way, to like interleave them in the scene tree with the tile map layers. Well, maybe it wouldn't be better, but it would be, either way, we're manipulating the scene tree by loading and unloading sprites all the time. And I don't really want to do that. So honestly, I'm kind of tempted to try the canvas item thing. Should we... So I'm going to try to undo all of the crazy stuff I did today. And we're just going to... And then we're going to... I think we're going to tackle this a different way. Because I'm doing something now that is causing an engine failure. And I cannot... I'm just reviewing all the changes we made today. Field count is 6. I actually want to keep that change. This one... No. This one, no. This one, you can get rid of that. Except that change, so I'll have to redo that change, but that's fine. This one, no. Is Godot closed right now? Let's close Godot. Let's close, right. I know I don't need to do that, but I'm just gonna, we're gonna roll back some stuff. I'm actually gonna discard all of these changes. This is why you do this kind of stuff. This is why you commit often. So if things go horribly wrong, you can just be like, forget I did that. What's really rough is when you're working in multiple areas and you're not committing often and you're like, I want to undo this, but not that. That can be really rough. So let's see where we're at this point is we're going to be stable and you're going to see the problem that's originally set us on this path here. I just want to make this one change. You will see what is causing the problem here. I want to call this tile.fieldCount. Which is a thing. I thought, did I not make that a thing? Did I actually roll back the tile file as well? Yeah, I did. Public constant int field count equals 6. There we go. Kind of a weird thing to say. Maybe it's more like tile. Whatever, who cares? Arneo, your floating point hygiene experiments have failed as well. You've been trying to account for changing rotation in the projected path so it could draw loops. There's something funny happening in the while loop that's not creating accurate paths when you rotate the acceleration vector. Interesting. Yeah, I've never tried drawing curves manually like that. Alright, so also again, shout out to everyone hanging out on YouTube. I know you're a quiet bunch compared to everyone on Twitch, but I appreciate you being here. I'm sure you hate that I'm calling you out repeatedly. You're just here to hang out and chill. And you know what? That's kind of what we're trying to offer here. So you see that was great. No more flickering. It's actually quite responsive for small numbers of changes. So if we're just changing a few things, everything is actually pretty Gucci here. Where we run into a problem is when I try to do something like this. So watch. So I'm going to take manual control and like create this big wall. And then I'm going to drag this big wall over to create like an enormous volume. And what do you see this? So again with the like epilepsy warning. It's because the opaque geometry is changing before the overlay. And I don't see a way that I can guarantee those to happen simultaneously. I could reserve a certain number of threads for each one, but like there's still no guarantee that one is going to finish before the other, really. Not what I would consider a hard guarantee. Yeah, so even when I'm doing this, you can see a little bit of that jump. It's very minor here, but the bigger the volume that we're trying to change, the more dramatic that jump is. Now I'm locked at this Z level. Oh, this is weird. What's going on here? There's something weird going on here. Why are you being weird like this? Okay, it knows where these are. Why is the raycast system not cooperating? It's cooperating here just fine. It's not cooperating here. Hey, Arneo. Hearts, hugs, and positive energy to all the YouTube lurkers. Thanks for coming over. Say hi. Okay, well that's a separate problem. Ignore this error. We don't care about this error. Rhiannon Journey, what is the actual slow part? The rendering or crunching data to figure out what data to send to the tile map layer? Sending the data over to the tile map layer is the slow part, which is why we've multi-threaded that part. And the problem is that it's not slow now. It's very fast now, but the problem is those different parallel processes are finishing at different speeds. And it's causing a very disconcerting synchronization issue from a visual standpoint. And as far as I can tell, there's nothing I can do about it. So I'm not going to be able to guarantee, because for one thing, all of these processes are sharing threads, and the scheduler is the one determining who gets what done when. But for the other thing of it, what's the final step of this process is plugging in the tile map data. And like, I really can't guarantee that all the tile map data is going to get updated at the same time. I just can't do it because it's happening across many threads. You're wondering if you could push the number crunching to a compute shader of some sort and do it all at the same time instead of synchronizing threads. Yeah, but then that's pushing us towards our custom rendering solution, which I'm not opposed to in principle. It will just be a choice. It would be like Dave's crazy custom canvas item drawer. I'm not opposed to it in principle. I'm just concerned about what it would do to our timeline. That said, it could be good. It could be good. Nix, you're writing another Java program. We're gonna hang out here for a second. I need to do some thinking. This is one of those you have another think coming kind of things. Nix, you're writing another Java program that will help you test the different options in your mod in-game and Project Zomboid. Nice, nice. You're reading INI files, dynamically adding buttons, sliders, toggles. This is cool. People will ask if you're using Godot, and the answer is technically, yeah, it's not. This is literally what I was doing when I stopped working with Unity. Is I had my own voxel, I had my own orthographic voxel renderer that was all instanced rendering in its own like custom render pipeline, and I don't want to go back to that life. It was super slick, and we did everything in like compute shaders and stuff, but it was hard living, and I don't want to go back to that. That said, Canvas item is pretty dope. I kind of want to do some research on the feasibility of drawing everything with Canvas item. Godot version Davy. Yeah, I should make like a fork. A fork of Godot. Hope everyone else is having a little more success today with their game dev. I'm like otherwise quite pleased with the performance result of going wide. I just didn't foresee the issue around trying to do a lot, trying to have these. Yeah, I really don't love this. What's happening here? And there's no better version of this. I tried this the other way where the overlay updates first and then the opacity. And it just does the same flickering, just in the reverse order. Because right now we get the flickering when we go out, and then that would create flickering when we go in. I mean, custom canvas item drawing would let us do some super neat stuff. Like we could do some like Bastion style stuff, or like we could actually control when stuff is getting drawn. We could have a lot of control over that, and like that's kind of tempting. And it would make it easier to combine things like the like characters getting drawn amongst things, because we just incorporate them into the draw order. At the moment, we don't have any real transparency in that, like, I don't know if we'd have a, well, we probably would ultimately have a transparent, I don't remember the term for it, but we probably would need to think about that in terms of draw order. Would Canvas item be using the low-level rendering server API, or is it one step above that? It's a step above that. However, as from what I understand, is that the rendering server is smart enough that it would batch those calls. So it would collect a bunch of calls like draw, texture, rect, or whatever. It would take a bunch of those calls over the course of the frame, and it would batch and draw them together. So we would hopefully limit, that would hopefully limit the amount of like horrible like GPU thrashing. But there is a CPU cost to doing this. I mean, there's a CPU cost to doing everything, but the CPU cost of doing this might be rough depending on how efficient the system is handling the batching and the managing the memory of the GPU. Like if the system can tell when I'm trying to send over a texture that it already has, like, which I expect it to fully be able to do. I don't know how the rendering server works closely enough to be able to say one way or the other about this sort of thing, but you know, I think it's worth exploring, and I think we'll do some major exploration of that probably tomorrow. I'm running out of time today to do anything like that. Canvas item shaders. Yeah, I feel like if we end up doing this, we will be deep into the canvas item shader world. Canvas item shaders are used to draw all 2D elements in Godot. These include all nodes that inherit from canvas items and all GUI elements. Canvas item shaders contain fewer built-in variables and functionality than spatial shaders, but they maintain the same basic structure with vertex, fragment, and light processor functions. So yeah, I feel like we could also do a lot with this. And this would be, I think, even lower level than direct calls to canvas item. This would be really low level. This is close to what I was doing in Unity. If we actually just did it all in shaders. You could incorporate like normal maps and stuff. This would be cool. And lights. Lighting is done in the regular draw pass. That could cause some problems for us. But maybe it would be good. There's also some sign distance field stuff that we could do that I think we would need. Light occluder 2D. Interesting. No, we wouldn't really do this, I don't think. Yeah, I'm concerned about how crazy custom Frankenstein we're getting. Good cooking stream. Gotta go. Thanks, Arneo. How would your characters interact with the ship in this custom setup? They would be drawn in the same way. You would need to determine the drawing order of the characters, which could be tough. That could be tough. You would need to find the correct... So, like, let's say you have a person who's 3 blocks tall. You would need to... And let's say you had some blocks in front of them, like a block somewhere that, like, partially obscured them. You need to know... You need to make sure that you inserted that character at the correct point in the draw order, which is one of the many reasons I like letting the scene tree handle this stuff for me. I'm at 3 city blocks tall. Yeah, let's presume that we had like a Godzilla situation. Yeah, I think canvas item is the secret. Abstract base class for everything in 2D space. Canvas items are laid out in a tree. Children inherit and extend their parents' transform. So we'd still get to take a lot of advantage of the tree stuff. We would just probably be doing it by z-index or something like that. Any canvas item can draw. For this, queue redraw is called by the engine. The notification draw will be received on idle time to request a redraw. Because of this, canvas items don't need to be redrawn on every frame. So that's great if for especially the more static things. You could even possibly argue for like having multiple canvas items for a specific z-index and have one be like an active one and another one be like a passive one. I don't know. However, they can only be used inside draw. Several functions for drawing on the canvas item are provided. See draw, whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of draw functions. They can only be used inside draw. Its corresponding object notification methods or connected to the draw signal. Canvas items are drawn in tree order on the canvas layer, on their canvas layer. By default, children are on top of their parents. So a root canvas item will be drawn behind everything else. Its behavior can be changed on a per item basis. So we'd have a reverse order again in terms of like how they were ordered. Canvas item can be hidden, which will also hide its children. By adjusting various other properties of a canvas item, you can also modulate its color, change its z-index, blend mode, and more. Yeah, for the tile stuff, it's conceivable that we have stuff on canvas items per layer. And then for the active stuff, we could see about doing it a number of ways. We could do individual nodes, or we could do like a slightly different thing. This is gonna be complicated if we do this, and I don't love the idea. And there's a question as to why. It's one of those things I gotta think about. It's basically ignoring tile map layer, which is a little concerning to me. There also is no guarantee that individually calling raw for all this stuff is better or faster. The only thing that it might be is consistent. So it might actually be slower to do this, but my hope would be that it would be more consistent, because all these draw calls are getting batched together and handled at the same time. Real a shame. It's a real shame that the changing the modulate didn't have the effect that we wanted. What if we did this? What if we deferred all of this stuff? There's maybe one more way we could do this. Is there a way to, like, make sure that this is being deferred? No. What we could do is we could have a... Let's try something. Let's try something that's not going to work, but let's try it. Hey, Remus. Most illogical. Yeah, I'm sorry. The streamer bot and the Twitch event sub stream is, like, not working. I'm going to be refunding everyone's channel redeems today. Hopefully it's back tomorrow. But how are you doing, Remus? Happy Friday. How's it going over there? Hope everyone's having a great Friday. All right, so what I want to try is having the actual tile map data getting set as a deferred thing. And see if that helps. Let's say set tile map data deferred. And we just need the tile map data. Oh, we also need the layer index. Do we need the layer index? Yeah, we do need the layer index. Layer index is an int. Tile map data is a packed byte array. Just have this part here. Actually, we should just call it the layer slice. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to say set tile map data deferred. Oh, hold on. How do I call this deferred from here? I want to call deferred our own. Yeah, here we go. Set tile map data deferred layer index layer slice. Can I get a return value call to set to the returns void? Why do I need a return value? Oh, we would need to be, it needs to be self dot. Would it be self? Hey, Commander, welcome back. Long stream this one. It's about close to my max. It's about 3 hours. Twitch is still lagging. Oh, that's unfortunate. Oh, things are popping off over here on YouTube. The YouTube audience today is about 10x my Twitch audience, which is crazy. It's actually more than 10x. Hi, YouTube. Hi, Mom. All right, let's see if a deferred call to actually updating the tile map data gives us that consistency we want. That's like the only thing I can imagine helping. But again, I don't think it would be a guarantee. We would just be relying on the high priority nature of this group task that we're assigning. That fixes this? Awesome. Let's not speak of it again. Okay, so it's not doing anything is what's happening. So why is that happening? Are we not getting the deferred call back is the problem? Or we're not getting back from the deferred call? There's no command on a tile map layer to like update its data. It's just like a property that we can change. I don't think you can call deferred a property change. Oh, there is a set deferred. We could say this dot set deferred. Do I need thread group? I don't know. I don't know about whether I need thread group or not. Will this work? If we can get this stuff, these changes to sync up, I will call this good enough. No, we're not getting anything now. Which is weird. I have a feeling things are hanging up somewhere. Dang. Yeah, we do got to wrap up the stream in a bit here, but I want to try to figure this out. I want to at least eliminate some options. We're not going to do set deferred. We'll just say dot tile map data equals layer slice. Could be a memory thing. Oh, is this just not working? Just straight up? That's interesting because it worked before. I wonder what's going on here. Oh, well. None of our exported variables are hooked up for some reason. Weird. Weird problem. Let's get rid of these. Don't need those. Who is using these? Oh, you are. Okay, let's try that again. Funky RimWorld music? Yeah, it's nice. Okay, here we go. Testing. Yeah, horrible. Okay. Now, if we make it set deferred, what do we get? This might not help if the different threads are executing across different frames, but this might do something. Absolutely nothing is done. Definitely gonna have some kind of... It's annoying because it's usually fine, right? It's like usually fine. And then sometimes it's not fine. I am worried about the performance implications for like the cutaway system. Which is why I'm willing to entertain like a totally different rendering system. I guess it's not, I guess it's technically, you can see it's actually desyncing even with a single block. So the defer is not doing anything. It's a shame. It's a shame. I wonder if there's something else that's... I wonder if setting the tile map layer data is also like a thing that triggers like a server, a rendering server resync. You know what I'm not really doing is I'm not really notifying the system. I'm not telling the whole tile data runtime update thing. Although that's for tile set stuff, not for... Tile data runtime updates does not actually refer to the tile map data, confusingly enough. Changed. Emitted when this tile map layer's properties change. This includes modified cells properties or changes made to its assigned tile set. Note, this signal may be emitted very often when batch modifying a tile map layer. Avoid executing complex processing in a connected function and consider delaying it to the end of the frame instead, i.e. calling object.call deferred. Yeah, that doesn't seem to be helping. Doesn't seem to be helping. I like tile map layers too. Alright, guess we might be doing our own canvas item based little rendering draw order thing, which is in line with my desire to have our simulation objects be very lightweight and to only use Godot for rendering in UI. It's in line with that. It's like a little hardcore for what I was hoping I would get to do or need to do, but if it works, then we've got a really nice system for interleaving what would normally be like tile map background thing and like what would be characters. As long as I can get the draw order stuff figured out. We could also come up with some kind of occlusion system to also figure that stuff out. Probably be like a kind of assigned distance field kind of deal. Doesn't really need to be signed for our purposes though, does it? I guess it does. Good luck. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see, Commander Apollo. There's definitely some options. Force an update earlier on. Call update internals. Yeah, I specifically want to avoid that. I specifically want to avoid the amount of updating that we're doing. The only other thing that we could do is go back to our old way of doing things and see if it ever actually is a problem. Because this is all predicated on the idea that... This is all predicated on the idea that we're not hitting adequate performance on the updating the tile map layers, which is true, especially when we try to make a bunch of changes at once, which I don't feel like is an unlikely thing. Especially with the cutaway system. Cutaway system is not working right now. But it could conceivably make big changes to the tile map all at once. Is that going to be better than Q redrawing a whole bunch of canvas items? I don't know. I don't know. I do not know. Do not know. Might need to read some engine architecture documentation, honestly. In terms of how the rendering works, the internal rendering architecture here. Rendering techniques. 2D light rendering, blah, blah, blah. 2D sign difference. Yeah. So they have this kind of sign distance field which they can make. It's neat. There's a whole shader that they'll link me to. I don't want anti-aliasing. I would definitely not want that. The only other question is like, if I'm talking to the canvas item, I probably don't want to do that from C#. So I'd probably need to prepare a bunch of things to draw. Send it over. Oh my lord. Here's the core rendering class architecture. So this is like everything. This is everything that's happening. Here's the stuff that like we care about. Not here. So we're concerned. So yeah, we'll still be operating at a much higher level, which is the canvas item. I think we need to, I think it's worth spending some time to learn more about canvas item and see if it could actually achieve what we want to achieve and do it without needing to have all of our characters and stuff be sprites in individual nodes and everything. Canvas items are drawn in tree order. That's easy. Honestly, if we could identify... It's going to be really tricky for drawing like things that occupy multiple blocks, but it also might not be. I have to think about it more. It also might not be. It depends on how well the Y sorting works, but this has Y sort, so it should work. It'll obviously only Y sort within a given Z index, but... It also lets me take advantage of the transform system, which is not bad. Clip children, this command kind of frightens me. This only occurs, the redraw will only occur once per frame. Nice. Only even if we call it many times. Yeah, I think we're going to try this. We'd use something like draw texture or something like that. I don't really know what the difference between draw texture and draw texture rect. Oh, draw texture rect region is probably what we want. Because we only want to draw part of the region. We draw a given position in local space, the canvas. Optionally modulated by color. We can also do trivial flipping, which is neat. Or wait, have its X and Y coordinates swapped. Oh, that's not flipping it. That's something else. It's more like a rotation of some kind. I think this could be fine. We do this, we shove it into like we use like tile atlases and regions within the tile atlas. Is rect the local position? Yeah, and then source rect is the region in the texture. I think this could work. I think it's worth trying. Famous last words. I'll see you guys in the summer. I have concerns. I have some concerns. But this is game dev. The most honest and consistent part in my experience of what game dev means is it means trying something if only to learn why that thing was not the right solution. And every once in a while you try something and you're like, wow, yeah, that was it. And that's life. That's game dev life. That's how you get experience. So yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Again, shout out to everyone taking a little bit of their Friday here to hang out with us. If you're working on something, I hope you've been productive. I hope things have been. I hope you got more progress than I did today. If you're just hanging out and you're already started your weekend, I hope you're relaxing. Hope you're having a good time. For the rest of us, we'll be there soon. I will be back tomorrow. We will be streaming tomorrow. Probably a little later than what we do here, just because I usually start kind of late. I say I start late on Saturdays, but I've been starting around noon my time, which is kind of what I consider a late start. So we'll probably be around here the same time tomorrow. Have a good one. Thanks, Commander Apollo. Nix, good stream. You just wish your work was productive. You know, productivity is not linear. Today was a great example. Sometimes you're just, you know, figuring out. Sometimes you're eliminating possibilities. Start late. So at midnight your time, it might be midnight your time. Sorry, Nix. But it is Saturday, so. Or it will be Saturday, so. I guess for you it might be Sunday. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. I will try not to demo any more of this crazy situation we have here, just to minimize the amount of strobing lights that people are having to see. And I will add a warning to this VOD, hopefully, which doesn't do anyone good. Any good me mentioning this at the bottom of the stream, but I'll do my best. So yeah. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all next time. Bye.